What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the ZZX or ZZX Digital podcast. I am Jacob, and you are?
Kyle. What's up?
Today's episode, we're going to touch on a few different things. We're going to really quick touch on Ken Block. We don't want to dwell on it, but we're just going to take a couple moments, just purely out of respect. I want to touch on Ducktail, which is a crazy malware that's going on right now. It's affecting a lot of meta advertisers. So if you are running Facebook ads, it is something you definitely need to know about. You need to be prepared in case it happens and know what to do if it does happen. Can spend all of your clients' money without you knowing. So just prime that one.
Scary stuff.
Yeah, super scary. Then we want to talk about, what are we going to talk about? Off-season tips?
Yeah, just a couple of driver tips, some stuff that to keep in mind for the quote-unquote off-season, right? So,
yeah, and then we're going to get into some really big news around ZZX as a company, and then touch on the Formula Drift podcast as well. Because if you guys follow us,
jam-packed episode. We'll have to try and stay diligent to that 1 hour mark, right?
We're gonna try real hard. So we're a minute in now. Let's start off kind of on a heavy note. Obviously, you guys know Ken Block's passing, super tragic. Kyle and I kind of bounced this back and forth how we wanted to handle this. What I do want to say, and we just want to keep it short because it's all heavy, and we've all been dealing with it for a bit. Huge inspiration to what I've done over the years. I very much looked up to him, still look up to him as a business owner, as a content creator. Huge shoes to fill. I'm very hopeful for what's going to happen in the future with his daughter. It looks like she's, based on right now, is ready to kind of jump in and take over. And then the rest of the Hoonigan team as well. So yeah, it sucks, but that's about all I can say.
Same thing. Like, he's just a total inspiration to everybody. I followed him I grew up skateboarding, wore DC shoes, right? So we kind of followed that whole thing and a lot of the snowboard stuff. Like, one of the best memories I have and kind of what inspired our shenanigans was him just hooning that Subaru down the ski hill.
Yeah.
Right. So it definitely, he's made a mark on everybody. There's no easy way to get through this period, but like, it's good to see that Leah's kind of going to step in and fill that role. And I'm interested to see how the rest of the Hoonigan team deals with all that stuff moving forward. And yeah, if you want your gut punched, but have a really good insight onto the true legacy, go check out Brian Scotto's posts. He's doing 43 posts about Ken. I made it through 2 and it was tough, but it's really inspiring and it's a good read for all of them. Cool. Like I said, didn't want to sit on that very long, but let's move on really quick to Ducktail. So this is a malware targeting meta ad accounts right now. There's a really good podcast that came out from Today in Digital Marketing, which is a podcast if you are into digital marketing at all. It's not automotive specific, but if this is the world you live in, highly recommend it. Really good information there. But they did a full breakdown of what this is. Essentially, this is malware. A couple different companies have been able to figure out how it came through. One of them has found it through a browser extension. Another one has actually found it through a two-factor authentication problem. So you do need to be, if you are running meta ads, make sure that you do have two-factor authentication on, but be aware of how you are doing that two-factor authentication. From a security standpoint, if you are running that, or 2FA as we'll probably call it moving forward, don't just use like a text message or an email. That is very vulnerable. You should be looking at like an app. Microsoft has a really robust one. I usually recommend to people, like, don't keep them within ecosystems. So it's even, if you really want to go deep. Yeah, if you really want to go deep, you can have 2 different ones. Everything from Google goes to a Microsoft one. Everything from Microsoft stuff goes to a Google one. There's third-party ones. I would personally try and stick with one of the big companies like a Microsoft or a Google. There's other third-party companies out there that do a good job as well, but my mind is like very few companies are going to have the budget the way Google or Microsoft would. So, and if you do end up encountering an issue, that you have a little bit more on the support side of things with a bigger company, right?
Yeah, I mean, that can go both ways, though, because like I've dealt with big companies and they have terrible support.
It's true.
But yeah, one of the things to look out for is that basically they go in, they'll run ads to spam sites, things like that. So if you do have Facebook ads running, you can set up notifications based on different things. You can set up rules that if a budget increases more than 20%, send an email. These are things you can set up in the background to make sure that you are aware and you're informed of this happening. It looks like Facebook, though, based on this report, is refunding some of the money. I would not rely on that. I know. It's actually shocking because they've had shit like this happen before and they don't do anything about it.
But that's also probably a for now situation. Like once more news gets out, they're probably gonna be less apt to refund that money, right?
Yeah. Once you've been informed at some point in time, your ignorance is not an excuse. So take this as your thing. It looked like the one, just reading here quick, TikTok Pixel Helper might have been one of the apps that caused it. Once again, if you're downloading browser extensions, be careful. I would recommend I'm not going to tell you how to run your company, but like you need to take security if you're dealing with clients, you need to take that security very seriously. So just keep that in mind. It is something that's out there. Like I said, it's called Ducktail. There is more information. Maybe I'll find some more information, throw them in the show notes or something like that.
Yeah, we'll link it in the description on the YouTube video and stuff.
Yeah, these come around, and I mean, we're managing like 15 accounts, Facebook Meta accounts right now, and close to that on Google. So, thankfully,
it could be a very bad day.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I read it, the first thing I did is went through all the accounts and started looking for weird ads. You'll probably find stuff with like weird ad names and like stuff like that. I mean, it's why it's good to have like a naming convention because you'll see stuff that's out of place. You can also like go through the actual account history, but it is something that definitely can happen. Yeah, I mean, that's really the biggest thing is, I mean, just keep an eye on your accounts. That's the biggest thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can't say that I came across it like you just told me about it a couple of minutes ago. So it's scary stuff, though. Like when stuff can bypass 2FA, you start to go like, oh, man, you think about all the stuff that you have that isn't fully protected, I guess, right?
Well, you need to have like an air gap in a lot of stuff. And what I mean by like an air gap is like a physical gap between a process and a security. So for some people, they'll use, like for me, all my 2FA stuff is on my phone, which is under basically two passwords to be able to get in. So there's a swipe code that I have to put in, and then my thumbprint that I have to put in just to get into my 2FA account. Is it annoying? 100%. Yeah, every time I have to open it, it's like we've done it in meetings where I have to get into like Sked Social. I'm like, give me a minute, I gotta get the code. But it just takes one time to ruin it all. So I mean, you might as well have that slight annoyance to be able to know that it's not. If it was just like your stuff and your money, it's one thing. But yeah,
like you said, in a case like ours where you're managing 15 accounts, that's big trouble if something goes wrong. So
yeah, exactly. I have heard that like you can get 2FA thumb drives. I do have one that I carry with me when I travel. That is in case I can't get to my phone. I have basically a thumb drive that stays on me so I can access that. It's also so that way if there's an emergency and I can't get to my laptop, I can still access ad accounts from like another place. Like you know how I am with like, I get so paranoid about this kind of stuff, but it's good because it has saved us. I mean, there was an instance not that long ago where someone tried to brute force my company email. I think I told you about it, where it was like, I had to reset up. Remember all the links broke, right?
That's right. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, on Zapier, because they were linked up to my personal account to my business account, and then someone was trying to brute force my email, so I had to go through and like shut that down, and then change out all the emails, and then they tried it again not that long after, so I had to do it again. It happens. I mean, unfortunately it's part of doing business, but the upside is like we have good security protocols, so like. Hopefully it's why they're there.
If anything strange comes up, it's better chance it's going to get caught, right? And that's why we try to have many eyes on things anyways, right? Yeah.
I mean, I have on mine anytime an account is logged into from a new IP, like immediately I get a notification. So that's through like the Microsoft Security Center. But yeah, it just Same thing. If you're dealing with any account, like if you're doing any of this stuff, right? Even your own accounts, like if you have multiple accounts, like if you got a personal and a driver page, like take 5 minutes, go set up a proper security measure. Because like it's frustrating, but what's more frustrating is getting your account hacked, and we've all gotten that, right? We've all gotten messages from people with their account hacked.
100%, right?
Yeah, it's embarrassing and annoying to everybody around you. So, cool. Let's go.
I was gonna say on the note of more accounts.
Hey, right. I forgot we got to do the fun transitions.
Got to get there. Segue.
Yeah. Off-season driver stuff. So we made a TikTok not that long ago about organization of assets. So I think that's like a really like a low-hanging fruit, right? Like you should have all your content.
It's not that hard to just make a couple folders, like not just date stamp everything, have everything from one event, go through there, separate stuff. If you have many different sponsors, separate some stuff that pertains to each sponsor so that you can do your content planning so that when you're back in the car and it's go time, you're not having to worry about all of your backlog of content, because even at your first race, it takes a while to get the content from that race. So you kind of need a backlog anyways to get you through the first couple races of the season anyways. So
yeah. Well, I mean, so what we did for our drivers, we had each event, and then a really simple thing to do that makes a huge difference, though, is put the photographer or videographer's name in the file, like in the folder that everything is containing. Because then you never get the issue. And we've had this on our end as like managing company stuff where it's like, you didn't tag this guy. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know? Like, he didn't watermark it. You sent us the files. There's no indication of it on the files. Yeah. Like, how are we to know?
We don't know if it was your friend, someone in the pits, or if it was a paid photographer, unless you actually have that sort of stuff marked out. So, like I said, there is no off season in racing, but in your quote unquote downtime, yeah, it's a perfect time for getting all that stuff together and creating your system and creating that file structure, because it's so much easier to keep a structure going than it is to start it. So yeah, take your boring time when up here we have snow and everything, like take that time to sit behind the computer, get something going that you can do, because everybody's different. Like my file structure is not the same as yours, but it works for me just as yours works for you, and we can stay organized.
Yeah, and it's also a good excuse now, like, to go back and talk to old sponsors, be like, hey, I found these clips, right? I found this stuff, like, you know, here you go. If you want it, you can have it. I totally forgot that I had this or whatever. You know, by the way, what are we doing
this season
year?
Looking? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a small thing. And you may look at that and be like, oh, I wish I had more of this. Cool. Make a note. Like, make a note.
That's what I mean. Like that's the other part of this whole exercise is you can go through your content and see, what did I do well and what did I miss? Oh, I didn't have enough stuff in the pits, fan interactions, whatever you're doing, even no matter what level of racing. Like maybe you didn't have any of your practice laps, and that's something you want to show because, you know, maybe you didn't make it too far in the race, but you had really good qualifying or you had good lap times. Yeah. So it's a good time to do all that stuff. And we've been preaching it to a couple of people. I mean, we need to do it ourselves as well. Yeah. Update our file systems, but.
Well, it's so hard to take like a hard look at what you're doing and try and look for mistakes, right? Nobody likes doing it. I don't like doing it. We have to audit our own stuff pretty regularly. I mean, we have to submit reports very regularly, and that's us very often having to take a hard look at what we've done and like, did we do enough? Did we do the correct thing? Like, nobody's perfect, but it's right. Like the only way you're going to get better is by having those hard looks. If you just constantly assume that everything's fine, or you always assume it's shit, but you never do anything about it, or you never figure out the reason why it's shit, like you're not doing yourself any favors. So yeah, sometimes those reports come through and it's like, it hurts, but then you're like, okay, but
it's a learning experience, right? It's a way to get better. It's like, you know, you have to crash to find the limits, kind of same kind of thing, right?
Ooh, good. That was
analogy.
Good. That was a good analogy. Yeah, I was trying to think. I was going to say the word caveat, but I know that's not right.
Not quite.
No, Well, I mean, so like what we do when we update reports for clients and stuff like that, like we'll provide metrics and things, but we do in our reports, we do the good, the bad, and then this week. And it's literally, I will go through and pick, here are the highlights of this week. Like, here are all the things we won. Here are all the great parts. But also, here are all the parts that didn't go well. Here are the parts we want to improve on, but it like, I found like with anybody, it's if you bring them a problem, but you're also bringing them a solution or at least an action plan with it, that problem is so much easier to swallow, right? There are some times where like, it's going to suck to have to tell somebody that, but if you can at least be like, we've acknowledged that there is an issue and we're already working towards fixing it, they're like, oh, okay, well, at least it's being worked on.
That's it. They know that you're working towards that solution and you're not trying to hide it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this kind of goes back to like the ducktail thing too. Like, if you, for whatever reason, find out that there's a problem, like let your client know right away. Don't try and
100%.
Yeah, don't try and bury this. I think I can think of like 2 situations in my life that I've hidden a big problem and got away with it. Like
2 out of 1,000, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like there's numerous stories where like there was a problem and I tried to fix it myself or not let somebody know, and it becomes massive, and it wouldn't have been that big of a deal like when I knew about it. I mean, it's like happened with my kid the other day. They spilled juice in their room. And it's like, but I found it a week later, right? When there's ants and it's sticky, and they're like, well, I don't want to tell you because, yeah, and like it was under their bed, so they couldn't fix it, right? They didn't know what to do. So they're like, I don't want to tell you, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm like, well, now you're in a lot more trouble because this is how we get ants. So, like,
little Archer reference there.
Yes. I had Archer in my story today on Instagram. I don't know if you saw it. I'm a huge Anthony Bourdain fan. So it was the episode where Anthony Bourdain was on it. And he's like, you wonder, I think the quote's like,
oh, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. You wonder why I'm upset because instead of enjoying this espresso and this coffee, I'm spending the 4 minutes of my free time talking to you assholes. Like, it was good. Anything Archer, anything Anthony Bourdain, and then especially that episode in particular, I'm like, yeah, I'm set. That
was your crossover.
Oh, it's great. I have an Anthony Bourdain sketch in the corner, like behind this camera, sitting in my office. Yeah, Jess got it for me. Actually, it's got a protege on it as well. She had an artist do it for me. That's odd. It's like a futuristic. It's got like Anthony Bourdain as like the big talking head, and then like this futuristic building, and then it's got like me standing next to my protege drinking a cup of coffee. So it's like this weird like Big Brother kind of thing. The guy who did it is like a really good artist, but like I think he lives close to a dispensary. So
it explains the artistic taste a little.
Yeah, it's really good though. I mean, it sits directly across me. So like Anthony Bourdain is just always watching me, just making sure that I'm always working. I don't know. This got off topic really quick. What else? I mean, we talk about sim stuff a lot, like for sure. But like, I just keep pushing it.
It's so big though. Like, it's such a big part of the community, and it seems to be such a good learning tool. And the gear is getting better and better and better. I mean, we know our mutual friend Brian. He keeps getting systems and stuff to test, and I keep going over and brands before where I wouldn't have touched because after using a $3,000 wheel, you're like, well, I'm not going to use this brand. And then now you're like, it's better and it's a third the price. Like, stuff is coming a long way and fast. So it's quite awesome. Plus the motion rigs, you got to try that at least once.
Yeah, I got to get on there. I know we've been talking about it, and we're trying to work something out to get somebody up there as well.
He put out a stream today. You should check it out.
Was it Farming Simulator?
Farming Simulator.
I watched it.
Did you? So he called me before he did it because he asked if I wanted to go on it with him, and I said, well, like, I'm busy, I can't make it over. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, how fun could that be? And then I watched I had the whole thing playing today in the background.
That's funny. I watched a fair bit of it, and he's like switching over to a sprayer. He's and he's like trying to get it all locked up and stuff. It was funny. It's. I mean, and I think on that note too, like actual streaming, like, if you are driving sim, even if you, as I know you should be interacting with your audience, like for sure, but if nothing else, just go and do it. Like, don't worry about the audience. Like, just go and do it, and just like put it on Twitch. Just have it up there. Like, why not, right? It's not hurting you.
I should be one to talk. I haven't put up any videos.
Hey,
2 or 3 months, but
I've jumped on and played sim driving a couple of times. I have everything. You've lent me a set. True. I do try and play. I lower the desk down and then I like bring the monitor out and then I play F1, and it is a lot of fun. It's just like, as you said though, it's like I need to set it up. And now that we have cleaned the house, I have a spot for it. I just need to build a rig. So
that's the thing is having a rig set up, even if it's something simple made out of 2x4s, or you can buy stuff they sell at Costco for like $400 or $500, that having it set up so that all you have to do is go over, sit down and turn on the computer, you're 10 times more likely to use it.
I think what I'm going to do in all we have talked about this. I mean, I may set it up and just buy an Oculus and plug into an Oculus because it would be basically right behind this wall. Next to my furnace, so it might get a little warm, but I mean, real race car, so it's perfect.
Right. Just get some noise and have someone throw gravel at you to
hurt. Yeah, the way I drive for sure. I should set up a fan. I was watching a whole bunch of CES stuff, and like the things people are doing now with simulators and VR is nuts. Like it's getting wild. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
I think our Discord would definitely love a nice big sim bash of all of us getting together.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea. I think it would be fun if we did that, but like, because there's multiple disciplines here, right? Like we've got Eli, who is like, you know, road course, like IMSA level, you know, driver. And then Joe, who's more circle track. I'm sure I'd get Randy in, Chrome to Envy, who does dirt track, and then you to do drifting. It would be funny if we just like went through each of them. And like, no matter what your discipline naturally is, you have to do all of these different ones.
Either that or something obscure. Like we did, we picked a trophy truck track and drove rally cars around it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just jumping around, jumping into each other. It's pretty
That's
fun.
not a bad idea. Actually, that would be fun.
It's fun and nobody's good at it because even if you're a rally driver, you're not used to, you know, hucking 80 feet or whatever. So
yeah, those things are absolutely wild.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of wild,
there you
great.
go.
I'm getting this.
Loved it. That's my favorite one.
That was good. I've been using that word significantly more often. I don't know if you've noticed that. It was not on purpose. It is just kind of happened. So, speaking of wildlives or wildlives, so the big news around ZZX, ZZX, whatever. I gotta pick one and stick with it.
You're gonna pick one, buddy.
Is we have decided this year to partner with another marketing agency known as Wildlives Media. I have known Wildlives since I started doing stuff in FD. AJ Anderson, who's the owner, he used to handle all like the media management and PR stuff for formuladrift. And he was the guy I had to report to when I got my hard card when I was shooting Pro 2 at the time. So, I mean, this goes back, like I've known him that long. Now, admittedly, him and I actually butt heads pretty heavily in the beginning. Couple of different reasons. I don't need to get into them, but and in hindsight now, a lot of it actually wasn't his fault. It actually came down from safety precautions and me being stupid and wanting to shoot in crazy locations and, you know,
that's where the best shots are, right?
That's where the best shots are. And I'm always down for the shot. So I have known AJ for that long. Without getting into like all of the details, we have been doing work together 2 years now.
Pretty much since I started, right?
Yeah. And I'd done a little bit before then. It's funny, he had made a post years ago, having issue with an ad account, Facebook ad account, and we're needing some help. I was like, yeah, I can give you a hand with it. I knew him from the FD stuff, and we probably hadn't talked in a year or two. And then I was like, I can help you with that. Next thing you know, we're having conversations about doing ads work and social work. And then last year, we did a fair bit of work together. And essentially, it was like a contractor, subcontractor. He would sub us out for stuff. I would sub him out for stuff, just like a mutual agreement. But we very quickly came to the conclusion that financially it didn't make a lot of sense to continue to go back and forth. And then the other issue is the time management of it, right?
Yeah.
Is trying to consolidate the amount of time everybody has to spend doing certain things. And his company is really, really good with networking and like big creative ideas. Like I will give credit where credit's due. The guy can like take a whole bunch of pieces and like, okay, this is what I want to do with it. And what we are really good with is implementation. Like, you give us an idea and we will tell you, this is how long it'll take. This is how much it'll cost. This is how we need to do it. This is how we're going to organize it. Like, that is what we're good at. And because, I mean, ZZX really is a young company, and I've been in the industry for a while, but not nearly as long as he has. I just don't have the same industry connections. So it very quickly just became this, like, he's like, well, I have connections, but I don't have the workforce or, implementation to be able to get this done. You don't have the network that I do, but you have the implementation. It was one of those like, all right, let's do something. So
big high five.
Yeah, basically. And what that allows us to do now, I mean, you guys will, you'll probably have already seen. So if you go check out Wild Lives Media on all the socials, they recently announced that they booked Grid Life as a client, which means we have also booked Grid Life.
Yeah.
So I can't get into all
news for us.
It's huge. I did admittedly do some work with Grid Life, previously, but like I didn't have the overarching ability to like really bite into that and want to be able to like, oh, I can take this on as a project, because it's a fucking huge project. Like,
yeah,
it's huge, it's ginormous. But partnering up with AJ, who's like, oh, I know people to do this, I know people to do this. You guys handle this. We'll pull this. We'll do this thing, and like. Event coordination stuff is definitely more his cup of tea than it is mine. So,
and what's super exciting about that is like, I feel like this year Grid Life is just, it's going to be crazy.
It's
and
10th year
to be
anniversary.
A part of it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty cool to be a part of it now, and also be a part of it at this time, right? Like, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, the upside. Like, I literally built my calendar. I don't know if you saw that post. I posted on my story like right before we jumped on, where I blocked out, like Jess and I went through and blocked out my entire calendar, and it's like all the red is when I'm gone. And first thing I said to him,
I don't need to see it to know.
I know. First thing I said to him, like, I need a new laptop. Like, I need a new laptop. I'm gonna need a different. Like, I love mine now, but like it's so big that it's an issue. Because it's a 17-inch, so like it's cool, and it was great when I was doing a lot of video editing.
Like packing space, man. Yeah,
so I know which one I want. The dual screen, the Asus dual screen. But anyways, I guess kind of getting back on point, like the partnership doesn't change anything for like you guys, like anybody listening or watching. Like this stuff doesn't change. The driver's focus stuff, it doesn't change, but like. In all honesty, the driver's focus part is actually just like 5-10% of what we do.
Yeah. I mean, like it's not going to change anything in a bad way. It's going to add to, content and us learning a lot more and seeing the trends more, because we're going to have our foot even more on the pulse of motorsport, because we're now connected to so many different parts of it, right? Like, it's not just Formula Drift or drifting events. There's pretty much anything on four wheels they're involved with. So
yeah, and as things progress, we'll be able to talk more. Honestly, go check out their socials. That's where a lot of like the big announcements and stuff is going to be. The way the agreement works out is like, it doesn't, all the clients that I have, we still retain. Everybody we work with, we still retain. Everybody they work with, they still retain. Like, it's more of just like a trade for time, but like on a different scale. Like, it's not like they're paying us for this amount of time and we're charging them, or we're paying them for their amount of time. It's like, no. All the projects we work on together, this is how we've set up the agreement. But like, overnight we now have access to like a top quality SEO specialist, top quality email specialist. We I don't want to like name names within the company.
Yeah, that's
the kind of tough part.
Things.
But there is another person that has joined the company who comes from a very notable event series within the car world. So they're bringing on all that information. Like, it's crazy. And because, as weird as it sounds, because of the way, like, nobody's like retaining time or charging more for time, that frees up so much group capital to be able to bring in better and more people. Like, that was our main focus, is like, we looked at it and went like, well, we're charging each other this stuff, but because we're dividing this constantly, neither of us has the ability to hire like we want to. And that's where we got held up. So this now allows us to bring on some like super heavy hitters to land this stuff, which is the cool part. So, and everybody's awesome.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, from my experiences so far, everybody's like-minded, right? We met a lot of them at PRI.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I see good things coming, that's all. I wish we could talk about more, but I keep your eye on their socials to see it, and you'll know why we're excited.
The plan is to very much be public about who we're representing. I mean, on ZZX side of things, we've been not tight-lipped. I mean, you can find it. It's on our website, like who we've worked with and who we represent now and stuff like that. But Wildlives, just look at the name. Like, their style of doing things is so different than what our style is, which is perfect, because that's what each other needed, right? Like, we are arguably more like the cold, calculated, like very meticulous and schedule kind of people.
Yeah.
Right.
Mostly.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. We still have a shitload of fun, but like, we pride ourselves in efficiency and organization. Like, that is how we've been able to do what we've done. I mean, I talk about it all the time. Like, there was a while where between the three of us, we were putting out like 1,500 social media posts in a week. Like, it was obscene. Now, I mean, that's on multiple platforms, but like,
of course.
But like, I'm not saying
it doesn't change the fact that you have to write it, had to write it, proofread it, send it to clients, have it come back, schedule it all out.
Yeah.
Watch
Monitor
for scheduling conflicts.
Yeah.
Make sure it's on topic. Make sure it's, you're
on trend,
advertising
links,
events,
product tags, hashtags. Like,
well, the whole Reels thing, right? Like, that came in about a year ago, where everything was, if it's not a reel, it doesn't count. And we had to rotate and
overnight. It was wild. We went from like, oh, we're just going to like do all this user generated photo content. Everything will be like really easy. We've got this great cadence going. We built this cool system where like, we don't even like need to talk to anybody. We just get our content. And then it's like, cool, we need 7 edited video clips every week. And you like, and then now it's like, hey, well, that's a different contract. Like, that's a whole other can of worms, and like navigating all that. But yeah, it's crazy. We just hired another videographer to help out with stuff.
Yeah, that should help out like tremendously, right? To take some of the load off, and also like free up creativity, if that makes more sense.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest parts of this is like, we have a bigger sounding board of people to bounce ideas off of, and every time we've done that, it's been hilarious, which has been great.
Yeah.
Even like the way we wanted to like announce this and stuff, we were playing around with different ideas. And just in general, just like, it's just been fun, like right off the bat. So that's kind of the nice thing. And just to be able to approach large brands, like we've pitched in not even in like the last month, like, but in the last couple of days. I mean, since the beginning of the year, we have pitched companies that I'm like, I would never even approach them. Like,
no, but it's to have the confidence to do that, and the connections and stuff to know like that's the arena that we're in, right?
Yeah. So yeah, pretty stoked, pretty excited. Yeah, I just keep an eye out on their stuff. I mean, like I said, keep an eye on our stuff. Most of our socials are very driver focused, which is for a reason. I mean, I don't know if I've ever like publicly come out and say, I mean, I've told people about it, but I'm pretty open with the way that we do things. The reason why we focus so much on drivers and sponsorship stuff, I mean, one, I was tired of like seeing bad proposals and bad information. We were tired of dealing with drivers not uploading content for the brands that we worked with, or doing it poorly, or not knowing what to get to help represent a brand. We had issues like trying to source content because people didn't know how to take photos correctly to keep sponsors happy. So that was a lot of it. But from like an actual business standpoint, the main reason, like, revealing some secret sauce here, is if we inform you guys, like if we inform drivers and make you better at marketing yourselves and providing for companies and getting sponsors and upping your careers, that's something you're going to remember, right? If we help you, that is something that you're going to remember. And the goal is to build a community of drivers who are really, really good at doing this. And the idea is that puts our name out there. It is a way that brands will now realize, oh, these guys were trained or informed or taught or whatever, or have watched ZZX Digital's tips and tricks. And that is where it comes from. And you'll see we sprinkle in information that we primarily work with brands within it. And that is to make sure that people are aware that is our primary goal and that's our primary income. We don't make money off of drivers. We have never wanted to make money off drivers.
That's not the point of it at all.
No.
It's to help everybody, and it comes around full circle through the brands. Makes the brands happy with us, which in turn brings in more business that way. But like you said, I didn't expect even like the Discord community to grow as quickly as it did. Like it's amazing how quickly people are latching to this knowledge, and I know you've seen proposals come through where you're like, oh, this is off one of my TikToks,
yeah,
or this is our template, and it's just way more refreshing than seeing stuff where you're like, this is garbage or unusable, right?
There's so many drivers out there that are really talented, like incredible like drivers, but they don't know how to market, and that's not their fault because the information is not publicly available. It's so annoying. Like,
and you spend your time learning how to cut fast lap times or run doors in tandem.
Yeah.
Nobody's teaching you the business side of it, of how to properly lay out a proposal and what metrics you need and all that stuff. And on the flip side, the people that are really good at that might not have traditionally have as good of driver skill. And it's frustrating to see those people get further in their career because they can do the paperwork side of it better, right? Or the approaching side better.
Or the schmoozing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunately, it's very much a world where it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it sucks because there's a lot of people who, I mean, plenty of guys have said it, like the greatest drivers of all time are just running a sim rig in their basement.
Yeah.
Like, because no one will ever know their name.
Well, I mean, not anymore because everybody's going to put it on Twitch, right?
Fucking better. But yeah, like we don't like for what you guys consume from us. Like I said, it is not a profit for us. It is straight up. It is an advertising expense. The amount of time that we spend building those TikToks, creating this content, it costs money. Like it does, and we make a little bit from proposals and that stuff. We might sell maybe 2 a week on a good week. It's usually 1 a week, 1 every other week, a couple of social media packages, and same thing. That money goes to, paying for the recording software we're using right now, which has a monthly fee, the podcast hosting, which has a monthly fee, the Adobe subscription to edit the videos. Yes, that's something we already use, but like that is something that we're using to do this. Like your time to do this, you have to take time, like, you're being paid by the company to take time out of your day to schedule those TikToks, right? Where we could be taking that same amount of time and doing that. Yeah. So it's not free.
No.
But it does work. Like it does work. We have seen it firsthand, even within our Discord community, like people going, the group of guys that we met with at PRI have walked away with sponsorships. That's not a exaggeration. That's not anything. Those guys have, like, if you can go into the Discord right now and see the conversations they're having, you can see them bouncing ideas off each other, communicating that way. It's nuts. I haven't logged in a couple of days, admittedly. Like, I've just been slammed. And I went in, I'm like reading through conversations. We're like, holy shit, like, congrats guys. Like there's all these things happening. I'm like, this is like now this little ecosystem is working without me having to do anything. It's great.
That was the whole point, is to build that community where people can share their information and help each other get through things. Like, I know that even the whole PRI meetup was so much better as a group, and meeting people and going through the experience together, because then you're like, is what I'm experiencing normal? Are these nerves normal? Am I going to get past it? How's all that going to work out? And yeah, it's like I said, when we first started this, I knew it would take off. I just didn't know that the Discord community part of it would be so tight knit so quickly.
We were so back and forth about it too.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, like, I don't know. And you're like, you should just do it. Like, do it. Like, this guy's got one. This guy's got one. I'm like, is it the right place? Should we do something on the website? Maybe a Facebook group or something? You're like, nah, just do it on Discord. I'm like, all right, cool. All right, let's just do it. So,
yeah.
No, it's good. I really need to post more in the 3D printing space. We have a whole subsection for 3D printing that doesn't get enough updates. I just made a whole bunch of hooks. I haven't printed
anything in a while. Did you? I have to make hooks to tie up my lights here.
Oh, really?
When you eventually come by, I'll show you. I have like a lighting grid on the ceiling.
Okay.
And I need little hooks so I can just like hold the cords up, or else cords would be dangling next to my head.
I printed a bunch for hockey gear. I don't know if I told you this, I played my first game of goal in 4 years.
I saw it. I follow your socials, you see.
Right. What is it? Is it Jacko13 still? I don't even know if it's changed. Yeah, if you guys do want to follow my personal one, there's really not like a lot of cool stuff on there. It's mostly me complaining about stuff, to be honest with you. But yeah, JAKO13.
Well, there will be cool stuff on it coming up in a couple of weeks, right? Because you're going to post on your personal stuff as well. I know. Yeah, Norway coming up, which is, I don't know if have we talked about it at all? I don't think so. There is a TikTok coming out. So if you're listening to this before it came out, hey, groundbreaking.
There you go. Yeah, flying to Norway, be myself and Jonathan Hurst. So Pride of Paducah, Kentucky by himself. We're going to take to like the true north.
I don't know how he's going to do. I was, I keep checking the mail for my invitation. I guess it's still slow getting here. So
look, if I told you this, my plan, if he couldn't go, was to take you. So I was fully prepared. I had all the money set aside. I was ready to go.
I told my wife, I was like, because you're gonna be helping Simon and working with Simon. I was like, I think someone needs to help Hurst navigate just snow.
Well, so he does. I think he can snowboard. I think he can snowboard.
I saw his mud drags. That was definitely cool because there was snow on the ground, but not northern Norway snow.
This is a whole other level of snow. Yeah. So I believe the plan, we're going to fly out at the end of the month. We're going to spend, I think, a day at Simon's, more or less just getting like time zone, like
shift.
Get that. It's a 7-hour shift, right? So it's a good shift.
It's going to take a minute.
It's going to take a minute. I'm going to bring some melatonin with me so I can get my sleep cycle back quick. Although I guess it won't be that bad. I get up at like 5 a.m. anyway, so it's really not that far off. Anyway, so yeah, do that. And then we're going to go visit Matthias, who's Simon's crew chief, and his company, which is just they build some insane shit. Actually, speaking of, Chelsea Denofa just did a shop tour of Rad Dan's. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't.
And they highlighted Simon's car for like 10 minutes. It's like an hour and a half video. It's great.
When did this come out?
Today. I was gonna mention to you in Slack.
I was like, what? I missed this.
So there's a really funny part in it where like what did they say? It was like something about like the relief valve on something, like they didn't use it, and then they blamed the rear subframe breaking in half on that. So we need to make a video of that because it would be funny, right?
I'll sample it, yeah.
Yeah. Go take a look at it. It's like around the 40-minute mark. If you like scroll through, you can see it's a super long video. But yeah, we're going to go visit Matthias at Race Supply. I think we're going to go try and visit Jan. And then basically it's like 3 or 4 days of ice racing. Or ice drifting. I shouldn't say ice racing.
Yeah, which is beater Mark IV Supra.
It's not, it is
a beater, but it's still a Mark IV Supra.
I know, it's NA. They're way cheaper over there. And then Jonathan and I get to split a BMW, they have like a 2-door coupe hatchback thing over there. They're really ugly. So it's like an
I love
E36,
it.
but they're shorter and like they're like 2-door and hatchback.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun either way, don't get me wrong. But I'm like, cool, I get that car. I wanted the Supra. So I might drive it. We'll see. I'll talk him into it. But we're going to do like small stick or small, what the fuck do they call it? Small stud, drifting for a couple days. And then I think on the Saturday or the Sunday, we're going to a place that allows like the big boy studs. They're like 1 inch.
Yeah, so that'll be fast.
Yeah, that's full drift speeds. Like that's 60, 70, 80 mile an hour drift speeds. So
I'm looking forward to that because I think there will be a higher level of comfort than the skill required for the ice drifting. You know what I mean? Like, because mentally you're like, it's just a snowbank.
Yeah.
But ice is concrete pretty much. So
basically. Yeah. So that is going to be pretty nuts. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to try and film some vlog stuff to get out on different channels. I'm going to do my best. I just actually today.
The last vlog.
Well, no, I sent that out. I sent that out to the new editor to finish my last Norway vlog because I didn't finish it. That's over on Pissnet Productions if you want to go see that. But I worked out a deal today to shoot a small commercial for another company that's sending parts to Detroit for me to pick up to then fly to Norway.
Oh, wow.
Also, it's a new client, so we're onboarding them tomorrow. I haven't told you yet.
Oh, like for us? That's
nice. Yeah, I forgot to tell you. Right? It was like
Wednesdays are good.
Wednesdays are a good day. Yeah. It is Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought Monday was Tuesday, so I'm way off.
We're good.
Yeah, it's a new company that we're onboarding. It's kind of a favor to a friend, but it's good, and you'll be happy, and you're immediately going to be like, oh, I know them. I need parts.
I always need parts.
I know. The upside is
not surprised, but yeah,
we'll get them. We'll get them. So because I need parts too, and I've already told them that. But we'll talk about that soon. I'm pretty excited. It's a cool brand. It's like they're in like at least 5 FD cars. At least 5.
Okay.
So that gives you a hint.
I don't want to know until tomorrow's meeting. I want to like struggle through this tonight and try and figure it out. And I'm going to have like my top 3 guesses.
Oh, okay, cool. I like this. Yeah, no, this is good. I like this. Maybe like leave a comment down below who we're talking about as well. See if you can guess who it is. So I know they're in at least 5 FD cars. They're not a huge company. So that gives you an idea. I'm so excited for you to guess. No, well, I know because I know you'll research. That's the best part. Like you'll do digging. Like you'll spend an hour on this to figure it out. All right, cool. Speaking of FD cars.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. You were going to get to it, weren't you? So I want to touch on Formula Drift podcast stuff because I've been asked an absolute shitload about this. What I can say is it is 100% happening. We are right now in the process of booking the guests. As with anything that is like licensed through a large governing body like Formula Drift, there's things that need approval. There's some hoops that need to be jumped through. General stuff to make sure everybody's on the same page. There's like there's a bunch of stuff that needs to happen before I can just get on this microphone. Actually, probably be a new microphone.
Yeah,
sure, SM7B baby.
Go for it.
I know, I got to. But all that stuff kind of needs to happen to make sure that everybody is on the same page to like make it move forward. So it is happening. I don't know a launch date. I can't speak to like who's it going to be, what's it going to be, any of that stuff. There's information floating around that I can neither confirm or deny. What I can say is that it's happening, and I'm hoping to start recording potentially early next week. Probably the week after, based on how everything is going to go. And then I'm in Norway, so I'm probably going to have to smash out like 3 or 4 in a week, which is totally fine. And that's kind of what I would like to do. So
it's easier when you're in the mode anyways to just keep going.
Yeah.
We can't do that with this podcast because we need new information to happen.
Yeah. And I'll be coming off like 2 days of the first true vacation I've taken in probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah.
I forgot about the vacation.
Yeah, yeah, and then going to Grid Life, and I'm doing a work thing right after. Grid Life Arcade Night is happening that weekend too, so that's January 21st, I think.
Sure. Yeah,
January
there's
21st.
Grid Life every weekend this year, you know?
January 21st, I believe. Hopefully that's been announced. As far as I know.
I think so.
I think so. It'll be by the time I actually get to editing this, it'll be out there.
You might have to send a little confirmation text out.
Yeah. Hey, should we edit this part out? So yeah, that's where that's at. So, please, if you have ideas, if you have stuff you want us to cover, feel free to comment on this. There'll be lots of stuff coming out soon. I'm incredibly excited to finally get this rolling after months and months of planning. So Kyle's got some good inside baseball about what we want to do with it.
Yep. I'm going to sneak in there somehow. You'll see.
Well, I need a producer on, so
Yeah,
I'm 100% would like you to be on the recording software, just keeping an eye on shit. So
it's probably not a bad idea. Getting some practice here too, right? So
yeah.
As long as it's not keeping my camera going, because that seems to be the issue.
Yeah,
the issue today,
I was gonna say we gotta get the R7 hooked up there.
We'll talk about it after.
All right, we'll talk about it after.
Yeah. Canon, not looking good.
Panasonic, though, fantastic.
All right, just a quick little tidbit on the S5 II.
Incredible.
It looks great. I wanted to crap on stuff about the autofocus because that's the whole reason I didn't buy a Panasonic, and it looks really good so far.
It's every comparison I've seen right now says it's on par with Sony and beating Canon.
Yeah,
which is
for sure. And at that price point, right? That's cheaper than it's slightly more expensive than the R7, but it's full frame, and it's cheaper than the R6 Mark II, and better for video at least, right?
6K.
Yeah.
Shoots up to 10-bit. I believe it has 120 frame or 180 frame.
180,
180 1080p, which may actually be the 180 at 60, so you can actually go to 360 frames. That's what the S1H does. I didn't dive into it enough. Panasonic color science is incredible. It does some weird stuff, but they all do. It's not as good as skin tones. If you even look right now, your skin tones look better than mine. Mine look a little green.
Yeah,
at least from what I'm seeing.
Auto white balance and everything, so.
I'm on a custom white balance right now.
Yeah.
So that could just be me not setting it correctly. But yeah, if you want a full frame hybrid camera right now, there is nothing better on the market, in my opinion, than the S5 II. So
I'd like to try it out first before I give that stamp on it, but because I was pumped about, I like the R6. That's the camera I originally wanted. I got the R7 just, it's $1,000 cheaper.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, if the S5 II was out when I got the R7, I would have bought it for sure.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated by Panasonic that they are not backdating the firmware to make this new autofocus work, but I understand this is something that is built into the sensor. So
yeah, is what it is, right?
Can I just get a firmware update? This is your flagship camera still, and it hasn't seen an update since 2021.
They must be releasing something new.
There'll be a new S1H2. I guarantee there has to be. You can't release the S5 II and not release an S1H2.
Yeah.
And it'll be 8K. It'll have 14-bit, or it'll have 12-bit. It'll have 16 stops of dynamic range, calling it right now.
Which means new cameras coming soon.
Every fucking year. Every year.
Yeah.
That's why I'm broke. I just speaking of broke.
Oh, that's mean.
I know, but I like him.
But yeah, let's go for it.
Free creator shout out.
Yeah.
Is this what we're calling it?
At the end of every episode, I guess we do a segment where we shout out a creator. Basically, all you need to do is email us at socials. Are we doing podcast?
No, podcast.
Podcast at ZZX Digital. So if you email us, just obviously with your name, your socials, YouTube channel, if you have it, tell us a little bit about yourself. And we will, at the end of every episode, pick one and do a shout out on it. So today I think we're doing Eli, right?
We're going to do Punju.
Yeah.
So, Eli, Punju on Twitch. I believe he's on that on all socials. It is because he is half Punjabi and half Jewish. So we learned that.
Yes,
Eli's Twitch streams are some of the most fun you can have watching someone do laps. Like, I don't know how many I have notifications
I haven't even
on
watched
Twitch.
many. Honestly, when I met him, I feel like I've known him for 10 years, meeting him for 5 minutes.
He's a beautiful soul. I love that guy.
Yeah.
He is incredibly high energy. He is so funny. Every time like you kind of think he's like done with the joke, he just kind of hits you with more and builds on it. He'll pick like weird ass themes for his Twitch streams. Like he did one in like a chef's hat. Him and I were on a call the other day about some stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, I just bought a chef's hat for like a stream. He'll do stuff like that. He'll dress up like a Santa near Christmas. Like he'll do stuff like that. He races a whole bunch of different disciplines.
You have to stand out.
Yeah. Incredibly engaged with his audience on Twitch. If there's anywhere you're going to go see him, that is it. Go there, follow him, fall in love with him there.
Yeah.
It's actually difficult to watch him in the background because I constantly find myself like, I'm working and then I like do one of these and then I'm doing one of these.
You get pulled in, right?
Yeah. And then I'm like,
he has that
like,
personality.
I'm like, what's he doing now? Like,
that's it. We spent so much time together, like with him and Joe at PRI, and even the people we were with, he just like right into conversations. He was broing out with some pretty heavy hitters in the industry.
Yep.
Just like it was
He was pulling me into shit. We were waiting for dinner. And just he like grabs me. He's like,
that's
you
right.
need to talk to these people, and just like tears me away from the group. And I was like, okay. And like
I got
went
in
over.
trouble for that somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, "Where's Jacob?" I'm like, "What? Where's Jacob? What's my job here?"
Yeah, super great guy. Very active in our Discord, which is fantastic. The dude holds it down for sure. Just good times. Like
Yeah.
And I know he's working on some really cool deals too, which is nice. Like I don't want to spoil anything for him.
Which is good for him though, and that goes to show a lot of that spawned from PRI and the connections made there. So
one in particular. There's one thing I don't know if it's confirmed or what's happening with it, but there's one project that he is working on right now that was a direct. He came to us. This is what I want to do, and I went. You know what? I actually know somebody that you should talk to about that. And went. This is the guy. This is what he looks like. Don't tell him I sent you. But like, this is the guy you need to talk to make that happen. Yeah. And I'm happy to do that. If you're a good person and you've proven in the community that you know what you're talking about and you're worthwhile, I have no problem making recommendations, but like, I'm also just not going to do it for everybody. But
the thing with him though, is like a couple of the other people who have been through your courses and stuff, he's shown that like, he's willing to put in the groundwork and grind and learn and adapt and work in the ways that the brands want to see. And that's somebody you want to help. When you see somebody who's like willing to just like, when we met him at PRI, he's like, how can I do this? How can I do that? He's like really trying to find the best way to approach sponsors. I'm like, man, I want to help you. Like you're making me want to help you, which is a pretty hard quality for people to have. And he's got it. And loads of it.
Yes. Yeah. So we will leave notes down below to links. I really can't say anything else other than just like go. You need to experience Eli to understand what we're talking about. That's it.
When we do our full Discord game night or sim night or whatever, we'll put it live somewhere, and I guarantee you Eli will be on there. So.
Yeah, he'll steal the show. I know he will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll have to get mine out. I will. If we do this, I will get my stuff out and do my best to compete with everybody because I think it'll be fun. I'll be like full driver assist though, so just to keep it fair.
Like I said, we'll pick something that's just even just for fun, like play BeamNG or something where it's not even racing, where we're just climbing a hill in a van, whatever.
The race of non-champions is what it should be. Cool. I know you're watching the clock too, and we want to try and nail an hour. So,
oh man, like I'm looking at it, I'm like, yes,
we're gonna do this. So make sure to follow everything ZZX, ZZX Digital. Check out all the show notes. Any shout outs from you, Kyle? Anything you want to touch on?
Not really. There's a lot of stuff in the works. I mean, I'm hoping to get, more involved in automotive stuff, but nothing set yet.
All right.
So
we'll get
I'm about to do some simming in a couple minutes. So
Nice. If you do want to be featured, once again, podcast at ZZX.digital. Send it in there. Send us some info. Send us some links. We can take a look at it. Not .com, not any of that stuff. Check out everything ZZX Digital. Check out everything Wild Lives Media. Please keep an eye there. Go subscribe. If you like us, you'll like their stuff because they're now us. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.